Laroto felt it. Somewhere beyond Soweto Township, beyond the dust-filled streets and flickering streetlights, there was another world. A world where girls her age sipped cocktails on rooftop bars, draped in satin and pearls. Where they woke up in crisp hotel sheets and never worried about taxi fare. A world of soft life. Of influence. Of power. And now, she had found her way in. The name Zanil had been nothing but a legend before. A digital queen who moved between the richer circles with effortless grace. And now, Laroto had been invited into her world. The text message sat on her screen, burning like an open flame. Meet me at Santon Mall tomorrow at 3 p.m. Wear something nice. Her hands trembled. This was it. The door had cracked open. But she had yet to learn what it would cost to walk through. From the moment she was old enough to understand the world around her, she realized that her family's struggles were not just temporary, they were generational. Her mother had spent over 2 decades scrubbing the floors of a luxury hotel in Santon, yet the only thing she had to show for it was aching knees and a salary that barely covered rent for their cramped, one-room apartment. The ceiling fan worked only when it wanted to, the cracked walls whispered tales of neglect, and every morning, Laroto woke up to the scent of frying dough from street vendors outside. She hated it. She hated the cycle of poverty that seemed inescapable, and she wanted more, at any cost. Every night, she would lie in bed, scrolling through Instagram, watching girls her age flaunt Balenciaga handbags, Brazilian Bond Street wigs, and vacations in Dubai. They strutted through luxury malls in Hyde Park, sipped on Moët and Chandon, and posted captions like, "Hard work pays off." Laroto knew some of them were pretending, but that didn't matter. She wanted the lifestyle. She wanted the admiration. She wanted to escape the suffocating reality of Soweto. Her best friend, Tandy, hated this obsession. "Laroto, you're dreaming too much. Life is not Instagram," she warned. But Laroto scoffed, "And life is not suffering either, Tandy. Look around us. We live like rats. I refuse to be another struggling township girl." Tandy sighed, frustration lacing her voice. "Laroto, those girls do things to maintain that lifestyle. Do you really think posting cute pictures is enough to pay for all that? Babe, they have rich men, sponsors. Some even do dark things to keep up. Are you ready for that?" Laroto rolled her eyes. "If they can do it, why can't I?" she retorted. "Not everything is worth the price," Tandy muttered, but Laroto had already made up her mind. She wasn't going to end up like her mother, trapped in a dead-end job with nothing to show for it. She was going to make it. One afternoon, while scrolling through Instagram, Laroto came across a post that would change her life forever, looking for a personal assistant. Must be beautiful, stylish, and confident. DM me if interested. Zanil X. Her heart skipped a beat. Zanil X. The queen of Johannesburg's influencer scene. She had over 600,000 followers, the perfect body, the perfect hair, the perfect life. She lived in a penthouse in Santon, drove a Mercedes G-Wagon, and attended exclusive yacht parties with South Africa's richest men. Laroto had followed her for years, idolized her, and now this was her chance. Without thinking twice, she typed out a message, "Hi, my name is Laroto. I am confident, stylish, and hardworking. I would love to work with you." She hesitated for a moment, then pressed send. Her hands trembled. This was it. A few minutes later, her phone vibrated. She held her breath as she read the reply, "Meet me at Santon Mall tomorrow at 3 p.m. Wear something nice." Laroto let out a scream of excitement, bolting out of bed and rushing to Tandy's house. "I got a job." "Well, not a job yet, but I have a meeting with Zanil X," she shrieked. Tandy frowned. "That influencer. Laroto, you don't even know her personally. Be careful. But Laroto was too blinded by excitement. Do you know how many girls would kill for this opportunity? She shot back. Can't decide. Fine. Just be careful. The next day, Laroto borrowed a dress, applied cheap makeup to make it look expensive, and took a taxi to Santon. For the first time in her life, she entered a luxury restaurant, where the air smelled of expensive perfume and problems she would never understand. She immediately felt out of place. Women walked past her in designer heels, flawless lace wigs, and diamond-studded jewelry. Then, she spotted Zanil sitting at a private table, sipping a cocktail. She was even more beautiful in real life. Her lace wig melted perfectly into her scalp, her nails were long and sharp, and her gold earrings glistened under the restaurant lights. Laroto swallowed her nerves and walked toward her. "You're late," Zanil said without looking up. Laroto's heart skipped a beat. She wasn't late. In fact, she had arrived 10 minutes early. Still, she apologized. "I'm sorry," Zanil waved her hand dismissively. "Never mind. Sit." Laroto obeyed, trying not to stare. Zanil took another sip of her drink and eyed her carefully. "You're pretty. That's important. But can you keep up?" she asked. "I can handle it," Laroto said, forcing confidence into her voice. Zanil smirked. "We'll see." And just like that, Laroto became her assistant. On the taxi ride home, Laroto couldn't stop smiling. This was it. Her ticket to the soft life. The words kept replaying in her head, "You're pretty. That's important." For the first time in her life, someone had looked at her and seen potential. Someone powerful. And Zanil wasn't just any social media influencer, she was a goddess. She had chosen her. That night, Laroto lay awake in bed, imagining the future. No more struggling. No more Soweto. Just soft life, luxury, and influence. She was ready. Zanil had instructed her to meet at her penthouse the next day. "Dress well. And don't be late," was all she had said before leaving the restaurant. That night, Laroto spent hours picking the perfect outfit. She had no designer clothes. No expensive heels. No human hair wig. But she had determination. So, she borrowed a beautiful black dress, straightened her old wig, and made sure her lip gloss was shining. The next day, when she arrived at Zanil's penthouse, she almost stopped breathing. It was a world of wealth she had only ever seen in magazines. The building had glass walls reflecting the Johannesburg skyline, and the security guards didn't even look at her twice before letting her in. Inside, the penthouse was like a Hollywood movie, floor-to-ceiling windows, velvet furniture, golden chandeliers, and an unreal view of the city. Zanil emerged from her bedroom, dressed in a silk robe, makeup flawless, bone straight wig cascading down her back. "So, you made it," she said lazily. "Yes," Laroto breathed, still in awe. "Good. Let's get to work." At first, the tasks were simple: organizing Zanil's schedule, responding to brand emails, and setting up ring lights for TikTok videos. But soon, Laroto began to see the cracks in the illusion. Zanil's life was not as perfect as Instagram made it seem. She would spend hours posing for pictures, changing outfits, and taking videos of luxury meals she never ate. Then, there was the fake travel content. One day, they packed for a private trip to Paris. They arrived at the airport, took photos inside a private jet, and then walked right out, took a taxi, and went home. "Wait, we are not flying anywhere?" Laroto asked, confused. Zanil rolled her eyes. "Sweetheart, I don't need to fly. I just need them to believe I am flying." That was the first lie Laroto learned about the influencer world. It wasn't about being rich. it was about looking rich. And soon, she wanted to play the game too. Laroto's transformation into the influencer world was swift, intoxicating, and more overwhelming than she had ever imagined. At first, it was small things. Zanil would hand her designer bags and tell her to pose, instructing her on how to tilt her chin, how to make her lips pout just enough to look effortlessly expensive. Remember, it's not about what you have, it's about what they think you have, Zanil would say, adjusting the angles on her camera before snapping a picture. Laroto played along. She would post the photos with captions like "God's timing is the best. Soft life only." And the likes flooded in. It was addictive. With every heart icon that appeared on her screen, she felt herself slipping further away from the girl who once struggled to afford taxi fare. But soon, pretending wasn't enough. Zanil noticed the hunger in Laroto's eyes. She had seen it before. The desire to have the life for real, to not just pose with expensive things, but to own them. "You're ready," Zanil told her one evening as they sipped cocktails at an exclusive rooftop lounge in Santon. Laroto raised an eyebrow. "Ready for what?" Zanil smirked. "To stop pretending. To really live the life. To become one of us." Laroto's pulse quickened. "How?" she asked. Zanil leaned forward, her nails tapping against her glass. "You know those girls you admire? The ones with the G-Wagons, the Dubai trips, the designer clothes. Do you think they got all that from just taking pictures?" Laroto hesitated. "No." Zanil smiled. "Exactly. Babe, let me teach you how the game is really played." The first lesson came in the form of a dinner invitation. "We're meeting some important people tonight," Zanil told Laroto as she handed her a gold sequin dress that shimmered under the light. "Oui?" Laroto asked, confused. Zanil sighed. "You think I do all this alone? The influencer life is expensive. Someone has to fund it." That night, they arrived at a private mansion in Bryanston, the kind of place Laroto had only seen in movies. The air smelled of money, cigars, and designer cologne. Inside, the men were older, powerful, and very, very rich. They barely paid attention to Zanil at first. Their eyes were on Laroto. "Fresh blood," one of them smirked, swirling his whiskey. Zanil laughed. "Meet my little sister. She's new to the lifestyle." Laroto's stomach twisted. She wasn't stupid. She knew what this was. But she also knew that if she wanted to keep up, she had to play along. The next morning, she woke up in a hotel room, her phone buzzing with alerts. Her Instagram had exploded overnight. Zanil had tagged her in a post with the caption, "Welcome to the elite club, baby girl." Laroto stared at the phone, then at the R20,000 in cash left on the nightstand. She had crossed a line. And there was no going back. From that moment, everything changed. The money was real now. The lifestyle was real. No more fake luxury, she was actually living it. Flights to Dubai. Shopping in designer stores. VIP tables at the most expensive clubs. But there was always a cost. The men expected her presence, her time, her attention. She told herself it was just networking, just the price of entry into a world she had always wanted. But deep down, she knew better. One day, Tandy confronted her. "Laroto, where is all this money coming from? Your clothes, your trips, this isn't normal." Laroto forced a laugh. "Babe, I told you. Brand deals, collaborations," Tandy cut her off. "Lies. I've seen the kind of people you're with. I've seen the comments under your pictures. Are you really okay with this?" Laroto's smile faltered. No, she wasn't okay. But admitting that meant accepting the truth. And the truth was ugly. Weeks passed, and the lifestyle became more demanding. The men expected more. The gifts came with heavier strings. "Come to Lagos for the weekend," one of them messaged. "Private jet is waiting." Laroto hesitated. She had heard stories of girls who went on these trips and never came back the same. But then she looked around her penthouse, at the designer heels lined up perfectly in her closet, at the diamond bracelet on her wrist. She had worked too hard to turn back now. So she packed her bags and boarded the jet. But Lagos was different. Darker. More dangerous. The parties were bigger, the men richer, the requests more unsettling. She saw things she wasn't meant to see. She became part of things she couldn't escape. And one night, in the midst of flashing lights and champagne toasts, she realized something terrifying. She wasn't free anymore. The sun set over the Lagos skyline, casting an eerie golden glow on the penthouse balcony where Laroto stood, staring at the city she had once dreamed of visiting. The glass of Dom Perignon in her hand felt heavier than usual, her wrist weighed down by the diamond bracelet one of the men had gifted her the night before. Everything around her screamed luxury: the silk robe she wore, the marble floors that cooled her feet, the perfume that cost more than her mother's monthly salary, but inside, she felt hollow. The night before had changed something in her. She had seen too much. Done too much. And now, there was no turning back. The trip to Lagos had been meant to be another weekend of partying, another opportunity to solidify her place among the elite. But this time, things were different. The men who had once seemed charming now felt dangerous. The clubs weren't just clubs anymore, they were places where deals were made, where power was traded, where girls like her were nothing more than accessories to the wealthy. She remembered the whispers behind closed doors, the looks exchanged between men when they thought she wasn't paying attention. She had laughed, sipped her champagne, danced under flashing neon lights, but beneath it all, she had felt it. The trap tightening around her. It had started with a conversation between Zanil and one of the men, a powerful businessman known only as Mr. Ode. He had leaned in close, his voice dripping with amusement. "This one," he had said, gesturing toward Laroto, "is special. She could go far." Zanil had smiled, that knowing, calculating smile that made Laroto's skin crawl. "She's learning fast," she had replied. "She understands how this world works." But did she? Did she really understand? Because the moment Zanil and Ode had exchanged glances, Laroto knew she was being discussed as if she were a product, a thing to be traded. And that was when she truly began to fear. That night, Ode had invited her to a private after-party, just a handful of special guests. Zanil had encouraged her to go, whispering, "This is your moment. These are the men who can change your life." And Laroto had believed her. So she had gone. She had walked into a dimly lit penthouse filled with men in tailored suits, their eyes sharp, their smiles deceptive. She had sat beside Ode as he poured her another drink, his hand resting on her thigh in a way that made her stomach turn. And then, the doors had locked. The memory of that night burned in her mind like a wound that refused to heal. She had barely escaped. Barely. What had started as a game had turned into something deadly. She had run, clutching her heels in her hands, stumbling out into the Lagos streets in nothing but a silk dress that now felt like a cage. She had called Zanil, her hands shaking, her breath uneven. "What the hell was that?" she had screamed. But Zanil's voice had been calm. "Babe, relax. It was just business." Laroto had never hated her more. Business. As if she was nothing more than a transaction. Now, back in Johannesburg, everything felt different. The penthouse didn't shine the way it used to. The designer clothes felt heavy. Even the money in her account felt tainted. But there was no way out. She had become Laroto the influencer, the girl with the perfect Instagram feed, the girl with the perfect life. And the world was watching. But Tandy wasn't fooled. "You've changed," she said one afternoon as they sat in a luxury cafe, one that Laroto could now afford without hesitation. "I barely recognize you anymore." Laroto stirred her cappuccino, forcing a smile. "What do you mean?" "I'm finally living the life I always wanted." Tandy's eyes darkened. "No, you're living the life they want you to have. And you're too deep in it to see what's happening to you." Laroto wanted to argue, but the words stuck in her throat. Because Tandy was right. The money, the fame, the connections, it all came at a price. And she was beginning to realize that the price might be too high. But was it too late to escape? The illusion of control had shattered, and Laroto was drowning in the reality of her choices. The influencer world that had once seemed like a golden escape from poverty had now become a prison, each door locked tighter than the last. The lavish penthouses, the designer handbags, the champagne-fueled nights in Soundtown, they all came with an unspoken contract, one that she had signed without reading the fine print. Now, she was trapped. Every gift, every luxury trip, every stack of cash deposited into her account had strings attached, strings that tightened around her throat each time she dared to question the life she had built. It started with a single post. Zanil had called her one morning, voice sharp, cutting straight to the point. "I need you to post this." She sent over a caption promoting a crypto investment company, claiming it was the easiest way to make money. Laroto frowned. "Zanil, I don't even know anything about this. What if it's a scam?" Zanil's laugh was cold. "Babe, everything is a scam. Do you think I actually drink all those weight loss teas I promote? Just post it. They are paying big." Laroto hesitated but eventually gave in, posting the ad to her 100,000 followers. The likes and comments flooded in. "Thank you for the tip, sis," one girl commented. "Investing now," another wrote. Guilt twisted in Laroto's stomach. She knew something wasn't right, but she told herself it was just another brand deal. Until, a week later, she started receiving DMs, "Laroto, I lost all my savings because of that investment. Why did you promote a scam? I trusted you. Please help me get my money back." Panic set in. She called Zanil. "People are saying they lost money. What do I do?" Zanil's response was ice cold. "Ignore them. Delete the comments. Block anyone who complains. That's how this works." Laroto felt sick. But she did as she was told. The comments disappeared. The angry messages were buried under new posts of her posing at an expensive restaurant, smiling as if nothing had happened. But she knew. And then came the worst night of her life. One of the men who had funded her lifestyle, Mr. Ade, was back in Johannesburg, and Zanil arranged a meeting. "He wants to see you," she said. Laroto's blood ran cold. The last time she had seen Ade was in Lagos, the night she had barely escaped from his private party. "I don't want to go," she whispered. Zanil's voice hardened. "You don't have a choice. He's been generous to you, Laroto. You think all this is free." And that was when she understood. The money, the gifts, the trips, it had never been free. She had been bought. The meeting was at an exclusive hotel. She arrived shaking. Ade greeted her like an old friend, smiling, ordering drinks, acting as if nothing had ever happened. But when he leaned in, voice smooth like silk, he whispered, "You ran away last time. You won't run again." Fear gripped her. She knew then that this was a night she might not walk away from. She had to escape. Laroto excused herself to the bathroom, her heart hammering. She pulled out her phone and called the only person she could trust. "Tandy. Please come get me, she begged. I don't know what to do. Tandy didn't hesitate. Send me your location. I'm coming. Minutes later, as Ode was growing impatient, tapping his fingers against the table, Tandy arrived. She stormed into the hotel, grabbed Laroto's hand, and pulled her away without a word. They ran. Out of the hotel. Into the street. Away from the nightmare that had consumed Laroto's life. Back at Tandy's tiny apartment, Laroto broke down. I don't know who I am anymore. Tandy hugged her tightly. Then it's time to remember. It's time to take your life back. But the word of influence did not let go so easily. The moment Laroto tried to leave, she became a target. The threats started coming. Anonymous numbers. You owe us. You think you can just leave. And then, the ultimate betrayal. Zaniel leaked Laroto's private messages, exposing how she had lied, how she had taken money for fake promotions, how she had been part of scams. The internet turned on her overnight. The same people who had worshipped her now tore her apart. Fraud. Fake influencer. We trusted you. She had lost everything. The money. The fame. The life she had sold her soul for. And for what? But for the first time in a long time, as she sat in Tandy's small, safe apartment, with nothing but a cup of tea and her best friend beside her, she realized she was free. For days, Laroto refused to touch her phone. The device that had once been her ticket to luxury, to influence, to the life she had always wanted, it now felt like a loaded gun, aimed directly at her. Every notification that popped up sent a wave of panic through her chest. The internet had turned against her, calling her a scammer, a fraud, a desperate girl who had sold her soul for fame. And they weren't wrong. She had played the game, and now she was paying the price. But the worst part wasn't the online hate, it was the silence from the people who had once praised her, who had once wanted to be just like her. Her so-called friends had disappeared. The luxury brands that used to send her free clothes had unfollowed her. The men who had thrown money at her had moved on to the next girl. She was nothing to them now. The only person who remained was Tandy. You have to stop hiding, Tandy said one evening, placing a plate of warm pap and stew in front of her. They can't take away your life. They can't take away your story. But how could she face the world when she had let so many people down? When she had let herself down? I don't even know who I am anymore, Laroto whispered. Tandy shook her head. Then find out. But you can't do it sitting here, running away. That night, Laroto made a decision. She picked up her phone, her fingers trembling, and typed out a message. I need to talk. She hit send. The next morning, she sat across from Motsin Kosi, a well-respected journalist known for exposing the truth behind South Africa's elite social scene. He had been one of the first to report on the scam influencers, the ones who sold fake dreams to desperate followers. Now, Laroto was ready to tell her side of the story. The interview was raw, unfiltered. I lost myself chasing a life that wasn't real, she admitted. I lied to people. I hurt people. And I hurt myself. But I want to make things right. The article went viral, but this time, it wasn't just hate. Some people forgave her. Some didn't. But for the first time in years, Laroto felt like she could breathe. She knew rebuilding her life wouldn't be easy. She still had nothing, no money, no status, no connections. But she had something better, a chance to start over. Instead of chasing brand deals, she got a real job, working as a content creator for a small marketing agency. Instead of fake Instagram posts, she started sharing her real journey, the struggles, the lessons, the truth. And slowly, people started listening. One afternoon, she got a message. From a girl in Soweto. I almost did what you did, it read. But your story saved me. Laroto smiled through her tears. Fame had almost destroyed her. But now, she was taking her life back. And this time, it was real. Thank you for watching. Did the story remind you of anyone? Please hit the subscribe button, share this story with someone, like the video and tell me about your thoughts in the comment section.